Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when challenges rise like mountains and setbacks seem too strong to face. But let me tell you something today, something deep, powerful, and true. I do not believe in defeat. I've seen pain, I've known struggle, and I've stood at the edge of discouragement. But I chose to believe in the power that lives within me. Because when you believe you can't be defeated, life bows to your courage. This isn't just a thought. It's a decision, a conviction, a force that lifts you when everything tries to hold you down. You may be tired, worn out, even afraid, but there's a light in you that no darkness can ever overcome. And today, that light is going to shine. Belief is the beginning of every miracle. It is not just a word. It is the force that shapes your destiny. When you truly believe that you cannot be defeated, something extraordinary begins to happen inside you. A new energy rises and doors that were once closed start to open. You walk differently, speak differently, and act with a quiet, unshakable confidence. That's because belief is not just a mental exercise. It is a spiritual power. It is a declaration to life that no matter what comes against you, you will rise above it. Belief draws strength from the deepest parts of your being and transforms it into action, into courage, into victory. When life pushes you down, belief pulls you back up. And not just belief in the outcome, but belief in the process, belief in the purpose, belief in yourself, and above all, belief in the God who made you. That belief becomes your foundation. It becomes the rock you stand on when everything else feels uncertain. You may fall, but you are not finished. You may be delayed, but you are not denied, because belief speaks louder than circumstances. It says, I know who I am, I know what I carry, and I know that I was not created to be defeated. The truth is, everyone faces hardship. Everyone gets knocked down, but not everyone gets back up. The difference isn't in talent or intelligence or luck, it's in belief. The one who believes they can't be defeated will always find a way to rise again. It doesn't mean the road will be easy. It doesn't mean there won't be tears or tough nights, but belief whispers in the dark, this is not the end. You are stronger than this. Keep going, and you do. You keep going even when everything tells you to stop. That's the power of belief. It doesn't take perfect conditions to win. It takes a determined heart. It takes a spirit that refuses to quit. It takes a soul that says, I may be shaken, but I will not be broken. Every time you declare that defeat is not an option, you tap into a deeper power within you. One that connects you with God's plan for your life. He didn't bring you this far to leave you now. He placed greatness inside you. And belief activates that greatness. It wakes it up. It stirs it into motion, and it moves you forward, even through the fire. Sometimes the battle is not around you, but within you. The doubt, the fear, the insecurity, they creep in when you're tired. But that's exactly when belief becomes your shield. Say it out loud, even if your voice trembles. I do not believe in defeat. Say it when it's hard. Say it when it hurts. Say it until your spirit starts to remember who you are. Because when you believe, truly believe, there is no force in this world that can keep you from becoming all you were meant to be. You are not here by accident. You are here with a purpose, and as long as you keep believing, you will keep rising. Defeat isn't something that comes from the outside. It's not the failure, not the loss, not the closed door or the broken plan. True defeat begins in the mind. It takes root in your thoughts long before it shows up in your life. You are never really defeated until you accept defeat in your heart, until you allow it to live in your thinking and give it space in your soul. That's the real battle, what happens inside of you. Life will throw storms your way. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change, and things you didn't expect will test your limits. But none of those things have the power to defeat you unless you give them permission in your thoughts. You see, the mind is the command center of your entire life. What you accept there becomes what you experience out here. If you tell yourself, "I can't," you've already lost before you begin. But when you say, "I will rise, I will overcome, I will find a way," you engage a different kind of power, one that lifts you, strengthens you, and leads you to solutions even when it looks like there are none. That's why protecting your mind is the most important thing you can do in the face of challenge. Guard your thoughts like a treasure, because from them flows your destiny. Defeat is a suggestion, not a sentence. It whispers, it doesn't shout. It's subtle and it's sly. It comes in the form of discouragement, in the form of fear, in the voice that says, "You'll never make it." But if you can recognize that voice, you can choose not to believe it. And when you reject it, you reclaim your strength. You may get knocked down, but that doesn't mean you've been knocked out. Falling is not the same as failing. A setback is not the same as surrender. The only time defeat becomes real is when you decide to stay down. The world has seen countless men and women rise from what looked like the end. Why? Because they refused to let the defeat in. The storm was outside, but peace remained inside. The pressure was great, but their purpose was greater. They held on to a mindset that said, "I'm not finished." And neither are you. As long as there's breath in your lungs and purpose in your soul, you are still in the fight. You are still capable. You are still strong. And above all, you are still chosen. Your thoughts are your choice. You may not choose every situation, but you can choose your reaction. You can choose faith over fear, strength over surrender, courage over collapse. The more you choose strength in your mind, the more your life will begin to reflect that strength. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you are not giving in. You are not backing down. You are not going to let defeat make a home in your thoughts. Say to yourself right now, "I am not defeated. I refuse to be defeated. I may struggle, but I will not surrender." Speak it until it becomes a truth buried so deep within you that no failure, no rejection, no delay can uproot it. Your power lies not in how perfect your path is, but in how powerful your mindset remains. Defeat loses its grip the moment you decide, deep within your soul, that it cannot stay. Faith is the invisible force that lifts a person above fear, doubt, and limitation. It's not something you see with your eyes. It's something you feel in your spirit, something you know deep down even when everything around you says otherwise. Faith is what makes you unstoppable. It is the quiet but mighty power that tells you to keep going when you feel like giving up. It doesn't need proof to act. It believes even when there's no evidence. It trusts even when the road is dark. And it moves mountains, not because the mountain is small, but because the faith inside you is bigger than the obstacle in front of you. When you walk in faith, you no longer live by fear. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start declaring, "What if I fly?" Faith shifts your focus. It takes your eyes off the problem and lifts them to the solution. It breaks the chains of limitation because it knows you're not walking alone. You're walking with God. And when God walks with you, no enemy can defeat you. No wall can block you, and no storm can stop you. Faith does not eliminate the trial. It empowers you to conquer it. It gives you the strength to rise up again and again, no matter how many times you've been knocked down. There will be days when your plans fall apart. There will be moments when the voices of doubt are louder than the voice of confidence. But that's when faith shows its true strength. It steps in when logic says you're finished and whispers, "You're just getting started." It doesn't need conditions to be perfect. It just needs a heart that's willing to trust. Faith doesn't require you to have all the answers. It only asks that you believe the answer exists and that you are capable of reaching it with God's help. You see, faith is not about being fearless. It's about moving forward even while feeling afraid. It's about trusting that there is purpose in your pain and that something greater is waiting on the other side of the challenge. When you activate your faith, you activate a higher power. You awaken the resilience that God placed within you. You become more than just a person trying to survive. You become a person destined to overcome. And that shift changes everything. The world may try to measure your worth by what it can see, by your status, your wealth, your achievements. But God sees your heart. He sees your faith, and that faith makes you valuable, powerful, and unstoppable. It's not about having it all together. It's about knowing that even when you fall apart, your faith can carry you. Even in weakness, faith gives you strength. Even in confusion, faith brings clarity. Even in defeat, faith prepares you for victory. So never underestimate the force of faith. Feed it daily with prayer, with gratitude, with belief in the promises of God. Let it become your foundation and your fire. Let it lead your decisions, shape your thinking, and guide your steps. Because when faith takes the lead, fear loses its power. When faith stands up, doubt has to sit down. And when faith moves, the impossible begins to shift. You become a living example of what happens when someone refuses to quit and chooses to trust. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not your talent, not your circumstances, but your faith. Every obstacle you face in life is not there to stop you, but to strengthen you. It may not feel like it in the moment. It may look like the end of the road. But if you look deeper, you'll find that inside every challenge lies an opportunity to grow, to rise, to discover strength you didn't even know you had. Life doesn't test you to break you. It tests you to build you. The tough times are not meant to destroy your spirit, but to awaken it. When you begin to understand that obstacles are stepping stones, not stumbling blocks, you unlock a new kind of power within yourself. So many people see problems and stop. They freeze, they back away, they think, this is too hard, or maybe this isn't meant for me. But the ones who succeed, the ones who go further, are the ones who see the same problem and think, there's something in this for me. There's a lesson. There's a blessing. There's a breakthrough waiting on the other side. That mindset makes all the difference. Because when you begin to look at obstacles as something sent to elevate you rather than eliminate you, you start to embrace the journey, even when it's hard. It's easy to believe in yourself when everything is going well. But the real test is how you respond when things fall apart, when the path is blocked, when the door won't open. That's when character is forged. That's when resilience is formed. You may not be able to control the obstacle, but you can always control your attitude toward it. You can choose to see it as a burden, or you can choose to see it as a bridge, one that leads you to greater wisdom, deeper strength, and a more powerful version of yourself. Think back on the moments in your life that taught you the most. Chances are they weren't the easy days. They were the trials, the struggles, the setbacks. That's where growth lives. That's where your potential is activated. And every time you get through something that once seemed impossible, you come out better, wiser, and more confident than before. The obstacle becomes your teacher, your trainer, your launching pad. And here's the truth. Nothing is wasted. Not the pain, not the delay, not the disappointment. Everything has purpose when you see life through the lens of growth. That failed opportunity taught you to be more prepared. That closed door protected you from something you couldn't see. That heartbreak made room for something more aligned with your destiny. When you live with faith, you begin to trust that even the hard things are shaping you for something greater. God doesn't waste anything. He turns your trials into testimonies, your obstacles into opportunities. You may not always understand why the road is rough, but trust that every step is preparing you, and the obstacle you're facing now, it's not in the way, it is the way. It's the very thing that's shaping the strength you need for the next level of your life. So don't shrink back, don't give in, stand tall in the face of resistance, walk forward with courage, tell yourself, this isn't here to stop me, it's here to grow me. Because once you begin to see obstacles as stepping stones, you stop fearing the hard times. You start meeting them with boldness and faith, and soon you'll look back and realize those very obstacles were the reason you became everything you were meant to be. There is a strength within you that you have not yet fully discovered. You may have felt weak. You may have been tired, discouraged, or even broken at times, but that does not mean the strength is gone. It only means you haven't yet realized how deep it goes. True strength is not loud. It doesn't always shout or stand tall. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it looks like tears wiped away in secret. Sometimes it shows itself when you take one more step forward, even though everything in you says to stop. That is real strength, the kind that comes not from muscle but from spirit. And that kind of strength is already inside you, placed there by God Himself. There are times in life when you're forced to face what you thought you couldn't handle. The path seems too heavy, the burden too great, but somehow, someway, you keep going, and you wonder, how did I make it through that? The answer is simple. It wasn't just your will. It was the divine power within you. It was the quiet presence of God holding you up when you thought you couldn't stand. It was His strength in your weakness. That's the miracle. It's not that you never face hard things. It's that you're never facing them alone. You may not always feel strong, but feelings don't define truth. The truth is, God has equipped you with everything you need to overcome, to endure, to rise. You don't need to search for strength somewhere out there. It's already in you. When He formed you, He breathed into you not only life, but courage, faith, resilience, and purpose. These things don't disappear just because you're struggling. In fact, they shine brightest in the middle of the storm. The moments when you feel like giving up are the very moments when your strength is being revealed. There is nothing more powerful than a person who knows they are backed by divine power, not arrogance. Not pride, but quiet, humble strength, the kind of strength that walks into difficulty and says, "This won't break me, this will build me." That's who you are. You are not weak, though you may feel weak. You are not finished, though you may be tired. You are not powerless, though the world may try to convince you otherwise. There is more to you than what people see. There is more to you than what you've even seen in yourself. Hardships don't just test your strength, they reveal it. Every obstacle you've faced, every disappointment you've endured, every battle you've fought has added to your depth. They've pushed you to grow. They've taught you to bend without breaking. They've reminded you that survival isn't weakness, it's evidence of power. So never look at your scars as signs of defeat. Look at them as proof that you made it, that you endured what could have taken others out, that you stood when it would have been easier to fall. God never promises a life without storms, but He does promise His presence in the middle of them. He promises to be your strength when yours runs out. He promises to lift you when you can't lift yourself, and because of that, you can move forward with peace, not because you know what the future holds, but because you know who holds your future. You are stronger than you know, not because of anything you've done on your own, but because of who lives within you. That power will carry you, that strength will sustain you, and that truth will never fail. So, when life tries to convince you that you're weak, you speak back with faith and say, "I may feel weary, but my spirit is unshaken, because God's strength in me is greater than anything against me." When everything in life seems to push back, when doors close and progress feels slow or invisible, there is one force that has the power to change the course of everything: persistence. It is not flashy. It is not always celebrated, but it is undefeated. Persistence is the steady, unwavering determination to keep moving forward no matter how long the journey takes or how heavy the burden feels. It is the choice to rise again after each fall. It is the quiet decision to try one more time, even when the world says to quit. And it is in that persistence, that refusal to back down, where true power lies. The truth is, every great achievement, every meaningful breakthrough, every lasting victory has been born from persistence. It's not the genius who wins. It's not always the strongest or the most talented. It's the one who refuses to give up, the one who keeps showing up, keeps pushing forward, keeps believing even when the evidence is thin. That person becomes unstoppable, not because the journey was easy, but because they stayed on the path when others walked away. There are moments in life when quitting seems reasonable, when you've tried and failed more times than you can count, when the results you hoped for don't show up on time, when the voice in your head says, "What's the point?" That's when you must dig deep and remind yourself, persistence is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's not about always feeling strong. It's about choosing to keep going even when you feel weak. Because the strength is not in how fast you go, it's in the fact that you refuse to stop. Persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is faith in motion. It is the belief that what you're working toward matters enough to fight for. It is the understanding that success is often just one more step past failure. You may feel discouraged, tired, overwhelmed, but if you take even one more step forward, you've already beaten the part of you that wanted to give up, and that is a victory in itself. You don't have to feel powerful to be powerful. You just have to keep moving. Each time you persist, you grow stronger. even if you don't see it right away, and often the moment right before the breakthrough feels the hardest. It's the point of greatest resistance. But resistance is not your enemy. It's proof that something valuable is ahead. The more you push through it, the more it begins to break down. Persistence chips away at opposition until what once looked like a mountain becomes a stepping stone. People may not see your struggle. They may not understand your path. But you don't need their approval. You just need your own commitment. You need the inner fire that says, I'm not stopping here. Whether the journey takes weeks, months, or years, persistence guarantees that you will grow stronger with every step, and eventually that strength will open doors you once thought were permanently closed. There is no defeat for the one who persists. There are delays, detours, setbacks, but not defeat, because persistence turns every loss into a lesson, every delay into development, every setback into setup. You may not have reached the finish line yet, but as long as you keep moving, you're still in the race, and that means you're still on your way to victory. So keep going, keep believing, keep rising. Even if it's slow, even if it's quiet. The power is not in the pace, it's in the persistence. And the one who keeps going wins. Fear is a natural part of life. It shows up when we face the unknown, when we stand at the edge of risk, when we step out of the familiar. But fear does not have the final say unless we give it permission. It is not fear that defeats us. It is the belief that fear is greater than our strength. In every fearful moment, we have a choice. We can shrink back, or we can stand up. We can retreat, or we can rise. And it is in that very choice that courage is born. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of it. It is the boldness to take the next step, even when your knees are shaking and your heart is unsure. When fear knocks at your door, don't answer with doubt. Answer with faith. Let hope be your response. Let courage be your reply. Fear says, what if you fail? But hope says, what if you fly? Fear asks, what if it goes wrong? Hope answers, what if this is the start of everything going right? Fear tries to paralyze, but hope energizes. Fear says stay still, but courage says move. And when you replace fear with faith and hope, your life begins to change. You begin to make decisions not from a place of worry, but from a place of wisdom. You stop being controlled by what might happen and start being led by what can happen. Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation kills momentum, but action, even small, humble action, builds momentum, builds confidence, and builds strength. You will never feel fully ready. You will never have every answer, but that's not a reason to wait. That's a reason to begin. The act of moving forward, of stepping out in courage, creates clarity, creates growth, and creates the life you were meant to live. Hope is not wishful thinking. It is a powerful force rooted in belief. It is the light that shines even when the night is darkest. It reminds you that no matter how heavy the burden, no matter how deep the valley, you are not walking alone. There is a purpose to your path and a strength available to you that goes beyond what you feel. When you embrace hope, you embrace possibility. You open your eyes to opportunity. You recognize that you were not created to live a life of fear, but to live a life of faith, a life of meaning, and a life of bold steps forward. Fear may come knocking every day. That's normal. But it's how you respond that defines your future. Each time you choose courage over fear, each time you choose hope over despair, each time you choose faith over doubt, you rewrite the story of your life. You become stronger, clearer, and more unstoppable. It doesn't happen all at once, but with every small decision to trust, every small act of bravery, you become someone who no longer lives under the shadow of fear, but someone who walks in the light of confidence. You don't have to be fearless to begin. You just have to begin. You don't need every answer to move. You just need the willingness to trust that strength will meet you as you go. Fear may still whisper, but you don't have to listen. Instead, lift your head, square your shoulders, and walk forward with a heart full of courage and a spirit anchored in hope. Because when you do, fear loses its power and your life gains unstoppable momentum. Say it clearly, say it boldly, say it with all the power in your heart. I do not believe in defeat. The moment you declare that, something shifts within you. It's not just a statement, it's a decision. And every victory begins with a decision, a choice to rise, a choice to believe, a choice to keep going when everything else says stop. The difference between those who overcome and those who surrender isn't found in strength, intelligence, or talent. It's found in the decisions they make. The decision to never give in, the decision to believe that every setback is temporary and every challenge contains a lesson meant to build them, not break them. You see, defeat is not something that happens to you. It is something you accept, but when you refuse to accept it, when you stand firm and declare that you do not believe in defeat, the game changes, your perspective shifts, your heart strengthens, your determination multiplies. Life will test you, yes. It will push you to the edge and ask, are you really willing to fight for what you believe in? And that is where your decision matters most. Because if you have already decided, deep in your soul, that defeat is not an option, then your mind begins to find a way forward, no matter what. Greatness is not born from comfort. It is born in the fire of resistance. It is shaped in moments of uncertainty, refined in storms of adversity, and each of those moments asks the same question: will you choose faith or fear? Will you let difficulty define you, or will you rise and define yourself in the face of difficulty? The decision is always yours. You may not choose your circumstances, but you always choose your response. And victory belongs to those who choose courage, who choose resilience, who choose to believe that their destiny is greater than their difficulty. There's power in declaring your decision. When you say, I do not believe in defeat, you are telling the universe, telling your doubts, telling every fear that you are not available for failure. You may fall, yes. You may struggle, you may cry, but you will not quit. You will not surrender your dream, your purpose, your calling. And that is the kind of strength that makes mountains move. That is the kind of belief that unlocks miracles. When you decide not to be defeated, you become a magnet for victory. It starts with a choice, but it must be followed by action. Affirm your decision every day. Let your thoughts align with it. Let your words reflect it. Let your actions echo it, because when your mind is set, your body will follow. When your spirit is unshakable, your results will become undeniable. Every great victory in history was once a quiet decision in someone's heart. A decision to try again, a decision to get back up, a decision to push through the fear and reach for more. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to decide that giving up is not how your story ends. That is the spark. That is the seed. And if you water it with faith and nourish it with persistence, it will grow into strength you didn't know you had. You were not created to live a defeated life. You were made to rise, to conquer, to thrive. So decide right now, decide every day, say it when it's hard, say it when it hurts, say it when you feel like giving up. I do not believe in defeat. Let that be your anthem, let that be your anchor. And watch as the world makes way for a person who refuses to back down, because the decision is yours, and the victory is already within you. Just as your body requires food to function, your mind requires positive nourishment to thrive. Every single day you are surrounded by messages. Some lift you up, others pull you down. And if you don't take control of what you feed your mind, the world will feed it for you, and not always with what's good. That's why it's not just important, it's essential to feed your mind with positive power. You must guard your mental diet the way you guard your physical one, because what enters your mind will eventually shape your thoughts, and your thoughts will shape your life. Start your day not with worry or complaint, but with gratitude and purpose. Read something that uplifts you. Speak words that build strength in your spirit. Fill your mind with thoughts that point toward faith, courage, and peace. Because when your mind is filled with positive power, you walk into each day stronger. You respond to challenges with resilience. You face fears with hope. You meet setbacks with determination. A well-fed mind can't be broken easily. It's rooted in truth, uplifted by belief, and grounded in hope. The world may be full of noise, negativity, fear, doubt, and discouragement, but you don't have to let it live inside you. You can choose what stays and what goes. You can say, this thought doesn't serve me, this fear has no place here, this worry is not mine to carry, and instead you can replace it with strength, confidence, and truth. Positive power is not just about good feelings. It's about aligning your mind with what is true, what is noble, and what is life-giving. It's about focusing on what you can do, not what you can't. It's about directing your attention to possibilities, not problems. You become what you repeatedly tell yourself. So feed your inner voice with the kind of messages that support your best self. Tell yourself, I am capable, I am guided, I am growing, I have everything I need within me to rise. Speak those words even when you don't feel them yet, because repetition shapes reality. The more you hear a message, the more your mind accepts it, and over time, you begin to live out of that belief. This kind of mental nourishment is not a one-time act. It is a daily discipline, just like you wouldn't eat once a week and expect to stay healthy. You can't fuel your mind with positivity once in a while and expect lasting strength. You must be consistent. Feed your mind with books that inspire, with music that lifts, with voices that speak truth. Surround yourself with people who breathe belief into your dreams, who remind you of your potential, and who reflect the light you're trying to live by. And when discouragement comes, as it always does, you'll find you're not shaken so easily, because you've been training your mind to focus on what's good. You've been strengthening your thinking with purpose. You've been developing a mindset that refuses to dwell in defeat. That is the power of feeding your mind with what's positive. It becomes your protection when life gets difficult. Remember, a strong mind creates a strong life. What you allow to live in your thoughts will eventually live in your habits, your choices, and your future. So choose wisely, choose joy, choose truth, choose to believe in yourself even when the world doesn't. Feed your mind the same way you'd feed your future, with care, with purpose, and with power, because when your mind is filled with hope, faith, and strength, there is no limit to what you can become. And no matter what comes your way, you'll stand firm, not because the storm is easy, but because your roots are deep. There is a power far greater than your own working in your life. When you open your heart to this truth, everything begins to change. You are not walking through life alone. You are not navigating challenges in isolation. There is a divine presence beside you, guiding your steps, holding your hand, and whispering words of encouragement when your spirit feels weak. That presence is God, and when you begin to trust in His guidance, something inside of you shifts. Fear starts to fade. Worry loses its grip, and your confidence begins to grow. Not in your own limited strength, but in the infinite strength of the One who created you. There will be moments when the road seems uncertain, when the path ahead is dark and confusing. You may not always see the full picture. You may not always understand the delays or detours, but faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting the One who does. When you surrender the need to control everything and simply trust that you are being led, you gain a peace the world can't offer. You begin to rest in the truth that every step, even the ones that feel like setbacks, are part of a greater plan. Divine guidance doesn't always come with loud signs or flashing lights. Often, it's quiet. It's the gentle nudge in your heart. It's the sense of peace that settles over you when you're about to make a difficult choice. It's the still voice reminding you to keep going when everything in you wants to give up. God leads through love, through peace, through the deep knowing in your soul that you are being carried, even when you can't see how. And when you trust that, truly trust it, you begin to rise above what once held you back. Life's challenges no longer feel like defeat. They become divine appointments, moments of growth, opportunities to strengthen your faith. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Because now you understand that God is not punishing you, He's preparing you. He's shaping your character, stretching your strength, and aligning you with something greater than you could have imagined on your own. And when others look at your life, they may not understand how you keep going, how you stay strong, how you smile through storms. But you'll know it's not because of your own power, it's because of who walks with you. You are being guided by divine wisdom. You are being held by divine hands. You are being moved moment by moment toward a destiny that cannot be stopped by any obstacle or opposition. Faith doesn't mean you won't face hard times. It means you don't face them alone. It means there is a higher perspective guiding the outcome. It means that even when things feel out of control, you are still safe, still seen, still supported. And that belief becomes your strength. That trust becomes your anchor. That guidance becomes your map when you don't know the way. So hold on. Stay faithful. Keep trusting even when the path is hidden. Keep walking even when your steps feel unsure, because you are not lost. You are being led. You are not abandoned. You are being refined. And when you trust in God's guidance, you will find that every step forward, no matter how uncertain, is one step closer to the life He's destined for you to live. Let that truth steady you, let it empower you, and let it remind you always, defeat is never the end when divine guidance is the path. So stand tall, think big, believe deeply, and walk boldly. Because with faith in your heart and God by your side, nothing can defeat you, and everything is possible.